First and foremost, all praises, glory, and honor goes to Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rakakwadash, double honors to the elder apostles, that great millstone that taught us this truth. Salutation on Yakin, pushing this word day in and day out. Doing this quick lesson, man, on Eve once again, all right? And she's not a bad looking Eve, she's, looks like she has some hair or a hair piece, but you gotta watch these nigga women, these modern day nigga woman, man. So let me play this clip, man. All right.
Bitches nowadays can't even take their shoes off inside of the club because a nigga like this talking to me.
What do you mean, nigga like what?
I said, get the fuck out my face, right?
What do you mean?
Bitch ass nigga, get the fuck out my face.
What you mean? Like, I'm bugged. What are you talking about? What do you mean, baby? I don't know.
Nigga, you got 3.5 seconds for this high heel going in your motherfucking eye socket.
Go in my eye socket. Why would you do that?
Do you think I'm playing?
Nigga, I ain't worried about that, man. You talking about eye socket all day. I ain't tripping on that.
Okay, but if I say get out my face and you ain't got out my face, why the fuck you still in my face?
Because I'm trying to figure out why you trying to be so hostile all of a sudden.
Because I don't want to talk to you, bro. Look how close you are to me.
I just walked up. I just walked.
You been walked up, nigga. I said get the fuck away from me 3 times.
I ain't been there.
And you're still here. Just shut the fuck up and keep walking.
I was just trying to talk to you.
No, I don't want to talk to you. Bye. The fuck, weirdo.
Yeah, so the nigga came up, tried to holler at her, wearing a cartoon shirt. Just looking like a regular Jake, man. And one thing about women, especially the so-called black woman, right? Like, they don't want the regular Jake, man. They want you to be super fly, super swole, super something. You know what I'm saying? Or super paid, whatever. Whatever floats the bitch boat, that's what she's gonna go after. Every woman got their type of dude they into. Whether they want to admit it or not, man. Because, women will lie. They'll say they hate a certain type of nigga, but that's who they really attracted to, all right? Like they say, people love who they hate. Well, that statement is true when it comes to the so-called black woman, all right? And like I said, she's not a bad-looking woman, but, this nigga is simple anyway. He's trying to charm her, and this is a social media thought. He's trying to charm a fucking thought, man. You can see the tattoos on the forearms, the umbrella, the baby hair, fake sideburns and shit, And you trying to charm, you trying to game this type of broad, man, Even this nigga woman said you too hostile and aggressive. These men will crash out and harm you. Then you record it and antagonize them. You gonna F around and find out if you don't protect yourself and lose the ego bone. And this is in Houston, man. Now Houston, they were known to have humble women back in the 90s. You even had a movie all about that shit, like Jason's Lyric. I used to watch that shit all the time. With Jada Pinkett, man. The woman was like, more in order back then compared. And this is the modern day Houston H-Town thought. Let's see what the comments say. You should have blown her head off. But also, if she's not interested, move on. So this guy, he's just being double-minded. Which one is it? Just move on or just, off the hoe? But, this is why. Because I remember there was a time when I was younger, maybe in my like 20s, late 20s, mid to late 20s. I used to holler at women and shit. And, it comes to a time where you just, it's better to let the woman come after you, you know what I'm saying, pursue you. They'll do it one way or another. They'll do it, subliminally by sitting next to you or, smiling at you. They'll do something to show their interest, because most women ain't really going to just come at you, It's only the rare woman that'll do it, but the rare woman's out there that'll do it, man. That'll straight, say what's up. Or give you the signs, right? So this is why you just avoid these. Hey, man, that bitch did him a favor, man. Whether he knows it or not, he's just a simple as, pussy bagging nigga, man. That the Lord more than likely is going to destroy. You know, now he's social media famous, man. And this is why, you know, even with Generation Z, you know, they don't really holler at women like my generation did. They just cool looking at a bitch, you know, pretty toes, you know, pretty skin and so forth, nice lips. All right. So let me get some presets, man. See, mama, you too high, styling and aggressive. Be safer. Well, you know, hey, man, a woman like that is, you know, meant for the sword, man. This is Ecclesiasticus, because he's the same way her mama is. Her mama used to disrespect niggas. Her mama probably wasn't a bad-looking woman in her day, and she learned it from her mama. She just carrying on tradition, and if she has a daughter, she gonna teach her daughter to, yeah, tell a nigga fuck off, you know. But she ain't gonna talk to the so-called white man like that. Ecclesiasticus 19:2, wine and women will make men of understanding, which that's not a man of understanding. That's just a simple nigga, you know, trying to parking lot pimp, to fall away, and he that cleaveth to harlots will become impudent. And we could just look up a dictionary. I said definitionary. Dictionary version of it, and it says not showing due respect for another person. So let's see etymology. Let's look at etymology. Shameless. So you're gonna become shameless, man. You cleaving into these, and that woman is a fucking harlot, man. You know, she's a straight what they call it, man. Harley. Cause you had a bitch named Harley from the Batman series, man. That's what these it's like a demon. You know? It's like a demon on these women, man. A Harley demon from Batman. Let me just show it. Yeah, it's like a demon on these women, cause you know these niggas, they got like a Joker demon, a clown demon on them, and the woman, you know, they follow after the men, even these 2/3 men, they follow after, you know, whether they want to admit it or not, and they have the same demon on them. It's like the female version of Joker, the Harley Quinn Demon. You know, they wear these exact outfits when they go out, man. These little body suits, if they have a shape like this, you know, they have this exact same demon on them, man. You clearly see Harley Quinn. She got the eyeliner, umbrellas, you know what I'm saying? Just like the nigga woman, man. It's a Harley Quinn demon out here. You know, I'm just, that's probably what I'll title this video. Beware of the Harley Quinn demon. She's even talking like Harley Quinn.
I just fuck.
Bitches nowadays can't even take their shoes off on side of the club because a nigga like this talking to me.
What do you mean, nigga, like what?
I said, get the fuck out my face, right?
What do you mean?
Bitch ass nigga, get the fuck out my face.
What you mean? Like, I'm bugged. What are you talking about? What do you mean, baby? I don't know.
Nigga, you got 3.5 seconds for this high heel going in your motherfucking eye socket.
Or my eye socket. Why would you do that?
Do you think I'm playing?
Nigga, I ain't worried about that, man. You talking about eye socket. I ain't tripping on that.
Okay, but if I say get out my face and you ain't got out my face, why the fuck you still in my face?
Cause I'm trying to figure out why you trying to be so hostile all of a sudden.
Cause I don't want to talk to you, bro. Look how close you are to me.
I just fucked up. I just walked my
You been walked up, nigga. I said get the fuck away from me 3 times.
I ain't been doing
And you're still here. Just shut the fuck up and keep walking.
I'm sorry, I was just trying to talk to you.
No, I don't.
Yeah, that's the Harley Quinn demon that's on her, man. You know, just disrespecting the man. You know, the man.
I don't talk to you.
You know, he's probably down bad on some box. You know, thirsty niggas. You know, these bitches, they could sense it. That's one thing. You know, I give it to these hoes. They can really sense shit. Because I remember one time I was trying to holler at this bitch, and I think I was a little bit nervous, you know. This time I was in the world. You know, confidence was a little lower and shit. You know, I'm fumbling on my words and shit, and the bitch, you know, she called my bluff, man. Called my skirt. Pulled my skirt. She said, oh, what, you nervous? I remember one time Eve said that shit, man. You know, because we ain't perfect, man. You know, any brother that try to say he's perfect, you know, we ain't gonna be perfect to the kingdom for real, man. Until we get spiritual power. All right. She called it, so, you know, hey, I had to respect that shit, man, you know. And like I said, man, Jay seen a fairly attractive woman, you know, physically, outwardly, but inwardly, you know, this is a damn demon, man, you know. And she said, a nigga like this, man, you know. Because, you know, one thing, she probably see him, he see too dark, probably short. You know, he don't look, she's sitting down, he don't look that much taller than her. You know, short, dark nigga, you know. You're not even tall, dark, and handsome. He's short, dark, and, you know, regular Jake. So she looking at him like, hell nah. You know, that's Eve for you, man. You know, he's not swole, he ain't tall, he's just a regular average Jake. So she like, a nigga like this. That was like the most disrespectful thing. That was even worse than her saying bitch ass nigga. Cause she's telling all the other harlots, all the other thoughts out there. You see this type of nigga that's trying to holler at me? How, you know, how dare him? He has the audacity to get at me. A nigga like this. You know, that's the worst thing, you know, she possibly could have said to that nigga. She really tried to break this nigga, man. You know. You know, she pointed down at his attire, you know. He's got on the red shorts. Which I think the red shorts, the red shoes is like kind of like played out now. That's like some like 2018 shit, you know. I think that's like played out right now. You don't really see Jake wearing the red shoes. And then, you know, he could have cooked this bitch, man. You know, he could have got at her long ass feet, you know what I mean? This bitch got some long ass feet. He could have really cooked this whole makeup, like Harley Quinn, that clown face, bald headed, extensions, weaves and shit. He could have really baked this bitch. But you know, he's trying to be a gentleman. To show you that being a gentleman shit, that don't really pay off. These hoes don't really respect that shit. But if you'd have pulled up, hey bitch, fuck you on out here. You would have got the number, man. You'd have got the IG, the Snapchat, or whatever these young hoes on nowadays, man. You know? And she's in the club, so, you know, where her friends at, man? You know, these bitches be going to the club by themselves and wonder why they get snatched up. And it says, and he that cleaveth to harlots will become impudent servants. Yeah, man, nigga like him, man, he's just cleaving to harlots, man. His shame, man, it was revealed, man. 10 million views and shit, you know, over the internet. Of this nigga being shameless, man. He lucky he a dark nigga at night, you know, so, you know, people probably can't spot him unless they really know him. But he could say, nah, that ain't me. When the hotel was getting cooked by that weak ass bitch, man. This is 1 Corinthians 7:27. Art thou bound unto a wife, seek not to be loose. So what the scripture says is cheaper to keep her, man. Art thou loose from a wife, seek not a wife. So, hey, man, if you a single Jake out here, man, it's best you stay single, man. Just keep it a buck. Because you can end up very well with a woman like that, and that's the majority of women's mindset. You bitch ass nigga, you know. Especially when they get mad, they get teed up. But, and if thou marry, thou hast not sinned. So if you get a woman, you pop her, you ain't sinned. If she's single. And if a virgin married, she have not sinned, all right? So, hey, even the scriptures know that, you know, the prophets know, man. Because this is Paul, this is 1 Corinthians, so this is Paul's prophesying here. He knew there's going to come a time through the Spirit that, you know, we ain't going to have virgins. Because it says, if thou marry, thou hast not sinned. And if a virgin marry, she have not sinned, man, all right? So these young women, all right, and then you got your little virgins, man. They ain't never been with a man before. They ain't sinned, man. You know, nevertheless, such shall have trouble in the flesh. So, hey, man, this man ain't even popped her, man. That shows you how wicked these women are. This man ain't even popped her, and he's having trouble in the flesh, man. He probably walked away with his head down. You know, didn't holler at another bitch that whole night. You know what I'm saying? There's probably a lot of bitches, because we're talking Houston, man. There's probably a lot of bitches that done went in that club, man. All right. This bitch ain't call security or nothing, man. All she had to do was call security. If she was that, you know, what they call it, perturbed or upset. She was that, she was on one feeling herself like that. All she had to do was call security. I'm pretty sure it was a guard nearby outside. Because you got your outside guards at most venues and inside guards. Because I remember that shit happened one time. It was a nigga. I used to do security. It was a nigga trying to holler at the bitch. The bitch wasn't feeling him. And she told me, it's like, to tell the nigga, like, yeah, calm down. So, doing my job. I ain't do it because she told me to. I was just doing my job. I was like, hey, just chill from that bitch. Fuck that bitch. And then, he got the picture. But this, I say, brethren, I believe that nigga was drunk too. The time is short. It remaineth that both they that have wives be as though they had none. Yes, the time is short, man. So even if you got a woman, she's decent, getting you box, cooking, cleaning for you, doing the basics, instructions that these women supposed to follow. Hey man, you gotta be as though you had none. You ain't supposed to be all into it. You're supposed to be into prophecy, into the scriptures. Right, that come after. That's your leisure time. You pop your woman, and go about your day. That's like your fun time with her. You'll both pass out and shit after you release. That's just for your fun time, man. But other than that, that's it. Just treat them. Even if you got a woman, man, still treat them. Like Jake said, for recreational purposes only, man. Even if you got a woman, just treat her for recreational purposes only, man. That's the best way to go about it, man. Don't be uplifting these hoes. Like this nigga simping. This nigga tried to simp his way in, but that shit ain't work with a bitch like that. If a broad like that just wants the straight cash, I'm just gonna keep it a buck, man. She either just want cash or flash, one or the other. Cause there's a way. If you don't got cash, it's not the end all be all. You can still be flashy, Just have the cash or the flash, and you could get you a woman like this, above average looking woman, Because she's, like I said, she's not ugly. She got some fairness to her on the outwardly, but the inwardly, she's a demon. And outwardly, I ain't really see what the body looked like, but from the neck up, it's above average. Maybe like a 7.5 at the most. And she's talking to this nigga like she's a 10, like a 10.5, man. Cause why you 2/3 simps out there and gas this hoe? Mainly through social media. Cause that's where most of the gassing is on social media. That's why I ain't on that shit, man. I never DM the bitch. Try to get at. I never, not one time, man. That's one. Never, not one time I jumped in the bitch DM, man. All right. Look at this, Jake. He said, I guarantee y'all if that dude had a Lambo sitting outside with gold chains and diamonds around his neck, throwing money, her whole attitude would adjust it real quick. That's a big facts. Big facts. Like I said, the cash or the flash. You know what I'm saying? That's all that's needed to get a woman like that. The cash or the flash. You can still, even if you don't have cash, you can have the flash. And she'll love it. Cause I know I got some. My cash ain't way up. It ain't way down either. It ain't way up though. But I got the flash that'll pull a bitch. You know what I'm saying? To the spirit and power. How about shimmy outside? Brothers know how to dress. Brothers smooth. You know what I'm saying? Brothers lift weights. So that's all I need to get a woman. Like I could easily shit on a bitch like that. But, this is, hey, man, she's the aggressor in this situation. I'm going to be honest, Jake he was a very composed Jake. Probably he looked like he could have been like a Nigerian Jake or whatever. You got a big Nigerian population in Houston, H-Town. So-called Nigerian Jake. But, like I said, he was too short, too dark. And too regular, This is Ecclesiastes 25:19. All wickedness is but little to the wickedness of a woman, not the portion of a sinner. on a punter, man. Hey, man, what's that portion of a sinner, man? That's death, man. You know. And it says, as the climbing up a sandy way is to the feet of the aged, yeah, because, you know, aged men don't really have balance like that, and women, aged women. So was the wife full of words to a quiet man, and this wasn't even a wife, and she was full of words. She's disrespecting the nigga, calling him a bitch ass nigga, a nigga like this, nigga that. You know, showing his whole drip, his outfit, head to toe. You know what I'm saying? You know, it's like the nigga's dressing like it's 2015 and shit. You know? Like, she's like, nah, he ain't it. Stumble not at the beauty of a woman. Yeah, so this guy stumbled at her beauty. Like I said, she's above average looking woman, like 7.5 from the neck up. I ain't really see what the body looking like. But it ain't look too bad. She ain't look fat. She just had some long ass feet. You know what I'm saying? Tatted up, long feet. Got the baby hair, umbrella, face full of makeup. You know, more than likely weave. And desire her not for pleasure. Yeah, he desired her for pleasure. She sensed that shit. She like, oh hell nah. All she should have said was, I'm good, bye. That's it. Them 3 words. I'm good, bye. You know? But she probably could have said that at first before she started recording. Then she just got angry because the nigga that she really wanted in there, I'm sure she seen a nigga she wanted in there, probably left or got at some other bitch in there. Because I remember one time when I did security, there was these Eves, man. Like one of them, you know, was like, you know, they were alright, you know. Little, I think they were around my age, but probably like little cougar type bras and shit. I remember one time when I was doing security, there was this other little red bone bra. She like sat like kind of next to my post or whatever. So, you know, for one thing led to another, we get to talking. And like I get her number in front of the woman that I knew. And you know what them bitches did? The bitches that I knew, you know, they were cool though. I ain't gonna, you know, hold you. I think I claimed them. You know, they used to throw me drinks and shit like that. They said, yeah, whatever you want, let us know type shit. You know, they were those type women. So, you know, they weren't evil at all. But I never took it to the next level with them. You know, I was just cool with them. But they see me pull like a younger, you know, more like, you know, biracial looking bitch. So-called biracial looking Jake bitch. And I remember they got up and left. They got up and left like quick. And then the next time I seen them, you know, everything was all good. But, you know, that shit really offended them, you know. Which I ain't mean to offend them, but, you know, it is what it is. But that's what happens when, you know, these women, they see a Jake get another woman instead of them, you know, they feel rejected. So they get up outside all angry and shit. That probably could have happened to that bitch. She could have been having a bad day, but more than likely, that's just a demon, man. And it says, and a woman, if she maintain her husband, is full of anger. Yeah, that's why, you know, these women, they'll call you out your name, they'll talk shit, try to belittle you, try to take your confidence. Impudence and much reproach, man. All right? And that's what your modern day relationships are. That's why it's best, you know, brothers stay single. You know, it's best to have booty calls, what they call a so-called booty call, bitch. You know, I remember I used to have that when I had my bachelor pad. Like, it'd be like, you know, I'm off the weekend and shit, and then I'll call a bitch over. You know what I'm saying? Or I go to her pad. But really, I prefer them to come to my pad because, you know, I'm like already tired, and I'll pop the bitch and I'll just pass out type shit. You know what I'm saying? It's best they come to you or you get a hotel type shit. I think that's what's best. At first, get a hotel. Then, you know, after a few times you pop her, you see she ain't all the way crazy. Then you bring it to your pad. You know what I'm saying? Possible Ball Ben said that. She said, man, only 8 brothers, don't even have a bitch in your crib. You know, she could be working for the peoples and planting devices all in your shit while you passed out after you busting, planting devices all in your shit, man. Frequency weapons, surveillance device, all types of shit could be in there. You know, right when you knocked out, she waiting for you to knock the fuck out so she could just get busy. You know? So it's best to get a hotel at first. Feel the bitch out. This is what I'd do if I was a, so-called eligible bachelor single man playing the field or whatever. You know, I'll get the hotel. You get you a B&B. It ain't really gotta be, especially nowadays. You get you an Airbnb. You pretend like it's your shit. $50 a night, whatever, right? Pop the bitch. Go about your way, or get a regular hotel popper. Go about your way. Especially nowadays. I grew up in a generation where, a woman would be like, nah, what I look like in the hotel. Nah, what the fuck I look like. I grew up in that generation, but now, that's more like acceptable now because these women are way out there. They way harlots. And it says a woman that will not comfort. Oh, actually, I'm going to start at the top. Verse 23. A wicked woman abateth the courage, maketh an heavy countenance, and a wounded heart. A woman that will not comfort her husband, in distress maketh weak hands and feeble knees, man. And she's a modern day woman. She look like every bit of like, I give her like late 20s and under at the most, early 30s and younger. So she part of that generation where they ain't comforting their husband, man. They killing their husband hell. Of the woman came the beginning of sin, and through her we all die. So we all had to taste death because of Eve, man. And these women, they in that same spirit of Eve, man. Give the water no passage, neither a wicked woman liberty to get about. And these are wicked women, man. You know what I'm saying? Harley Quinn. Beware of that Harley Quinn demon, man. She don't want the cash, she wants the flash. I might have to coin that, man. Trademark that. If she go not as thou wouldst have, cut her off from thy flesh, and give her a bill of divorce and let her go, man. So, she don't listen to you, you can cut her off, man. But the scriptures say you really ain't supposed to leave a woman unless she commit adultery on you, roughly paraphrasing. But nowadays, all these women are adulteresses, so she acting up and she don't know how to simmer down. She acting up, and then the day go by, she wake up acting up some more, and then you leave for work or the gym, whatever you do, you come home at night, she's still acting up, then hey man, just cut her off and go about your way, man. It ain't worth the headache, because if she doing all that, then that's how you know. This is one thing, a woman, she'll act up and then come back to normal the next day or whatever, same night. But if she's doing it over and over and over and over again, non-stop for like a month straight, week straight, that's how you know another nigga popping her. That's another sign, man. Because them demons. And then, a woman, they play manipulation games, manipulation tactics. That's their way of pushing you away, man, pushing you off, man. All right, so, hey, man, I'm going to end it there, man. Until next time, Shalom.